I'm Lynn Packer with part 14 of a series. Brigham Young University stands by the Coco Berthmann hoax. It's about an educational institution taking a story that is too good to be true, or in this case, too bad to be true, a defamatory story, amplifying it and disseminating it worldwide via a TED Talk on YouTube. Despite getting evidence Berthmann's story is a hoax, BYU continues to keep her TEDx speech online. As detailed in my previous report, Berthmann's claim was that in Germany she was prostituted by her mother to pedophiles from birth to 15 years old, until she ran away from home. Her older sister was also trafficked, then murdered by her mother and mother's boyfriend when she sought to flee. After Berthmann escaped from her mother's sex trafficking ring, she moved in with one of her therapists who sexually abused her. The night before her TED Talk was streamed live in March and recorded for later YouTube release, she posted this on social media. "One more day until I'm giving my freaking TED Talk. I still can't believe I've been invited to give a speech on TED." Berthmann let her social media followers know how important the BYU TED Talk was to her. She wrote, "I knew early on that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I wanted to make sure what I say is coming from deep inside me. It's been months and months of preparation and writing, rewriting, having a talk finished, and then throw it out again and write from scratch, I think at least 4 times. I don't think I have shared something more important than I will tomorrow night. Also, everyone can watch from their home." Then she inserts the link to the live broadcast. "And now we will all be shouting even louder." The BYU TED Talk is a megaphone that amplifies her shout. It carries her astonishing story worldwide. The more credible the outlet, the further its reach, the more impact her message has, whether true or a lie. BYU's Ballard Center within the Marriott School of Business produces the TED Talk videos. The promo for her speech said, "Since her courageous escape at age 15 from a lifetime of familial child sex trafficking, Coco Berthmann has dedicated her life to fearlessly challenging the status quo by demanding that society abolish human sex trafficking, a $53 trillion worldwide modern-day industry." Here's a short excerpt.
"I'm a survivor of child sex trafficking, and I was trafficked for the first 15 years of my life by my own family. The torture that I endured varied. On some days, nothing really happened, and on others, I was raped 10 to 50 times a day."
Following my first report, a viewer commented, "This needs more attention. Way too many people still believe her every word. This is just crazy. I can't believe nobody at TED bothered to check up on her past or do any research in Germany. So I fact-checked BYU's fact-checking." BYU has fact-checking rules for its TEDx producers to follow. TEDx organizers share in the responsibility of maintaining TED's reputation and upholding our audience's trust. Fact-checking is non-negotiable. Speakers must not attack parties. BYU has a vetting process. TEDx speakers are vetted in advance by BYU's organizers. Each speaker requires approval, not only by management school administrators, but also by BYU's top administrators. BYU has fact-checking guidelines. Some of the things that can be helpful to verify accuracy of anecdotes include full names, ages, and geographic locations of other individuals referred to in the talk, contact info for individuals who can attest to that portion of the talk, documentation from that period of time, such as emails, medical records, and other records. None of that could have been done for Berthmann's claims during the multiple times her speech was purportedly fact-checked. I spoke with J. Lee Clark, the business school's executive relations manager, who explained how speakers are quadruple checked. She told me the Ballard Center proposes a list of people they feel they've vetted well. Then we review them with them. Then we send them to the university. They approve them. Then the center does the invitations. Speakers do get university approval before they're invited. After speeches are live streamed, but before publishing on YouTube, they're reviewed before they are posted anywhere as well. The Coco Berthmann TED Talk received even closer than usual scrutiny before posting. A source familiar with Berthmann's BYU TEDx Talk, a collaborator who attended the taping, said other speakers recorded at the same time had their videos posted rather quickly, on schedule. Berthmann's was held up for additional vetting. She said they held it up because they could not prove her story, and she threw a fit. She said she complained about the delay and accused the university of victim shaming for doubting her truthfulness. Finally, in June, 3 months after videoing, BYU posted Berthmann's TED Talk for worldwide viewing. One source says Christy Wells, CEO of Virginia-based Safe House Project, also lobbied BYU and also accused them of victim shaming if they did not post Berthmann's TED Talk. Wells declined comment. In my last report, I said BYU's Rose Palmer, who produced Berthmann's TED Talk, would not respond to my email questions about fact-checking. I finally made phone contact, but she answered every question with a string of no comments. No one, she said, at BYU would have a comment. Because Berthmann's story does not stand up to fact-checking, BYU must have tossed its fact-checking rules out the window. After BYU live-streamed Berthmann's TED Talk, but almost 2 months before it was put on YouTube, Coco Berthmann's mother, Renata, writing from Germany, emailed BYU asking them to not post the speech online. With help from a friend who speaks English, she wrote, "The reason why we write is that everything she says about her life and family is not true. No one seems to check up on her story. We ask you to not support any further statement of hers that cannot be proven or that you have not yourself checked up on." BYU still went ahead and posted the video. On about August 12th, Berthmann's former Mormon bishop in Hanover, Germany, who had seen Berthmann's TED Talk online, as well as my report about the Coco Berthmann hoax, emailed BYU. BYU would not provide a copy. I've not seen it. But the email is believed to have told BYU that Berthmann was making apparently untrue claims about having been sex trafficked by her mother. She was telling the story to her fellow LDS members in the Hanover, Germany ward in 2017 after she returned from Las Vegas, until 2018 when she went to Utah to attend LDS Business College, now Ensign College. The bishop apparently wrote that most of Berthmann's fellow ward members did not believe her stories. BYU still did not take down the video. Here's what's also inexplicable. 2 years before BYU posted its Berthmann video, LDS Living unposted, deleted its Berthmann online printed story, and tried unsuccessfully to delete its Berthmann video interview. Both are arms of the Mormon Church. The left hand did not know what the right hand was doing. The Mormon Church's online lifestyle magazine told Berthmann's miracle story in May 2019, 2 years before BYU told it. As reported in Op-Ed 13, the magazine titled it, "The Miracles That Helped the Sex Trafficking Survivor Stay Alive and Find the Gospel." In June 2019, Coco Berthmann's spiritual mom, who had introduced her to the Mormon Church, emailed LDS Living and said a part of the story Coco told about her is not true. And she added, "Additionally, I feel I should note that I had several experiences during the year I was in communication with Coco, where it surfaced that she had fabricated significant experiences and information she related to me." It's not clear exactly when LDS Living deleted the story. The online publication will not say. But Berthmann's mother was aware of it in April 2020 and asked LDS Living to take it down. There was no response to the mother's email, no apology, no correction was posted. I emailed questions about the article to Erin Hallstrom, associate publisher. She answered, "In response to your inquiry, we published a story about and recorded a video with Coco Berthmann in 2019. Shortly after we published the story, we received information that the story deserved additional research. Because we could not confirm the details of her story and did not have the resources to investigate further, we removed the story and video from our website." Again, she said, "Because we could not confirm the details of her story and did not have the resources to investigate further." I followed up. I wrote, "Thanks for getting back. I'm aware of the email Coco's mentor sent you on June 18, 2019. Did you also get one from Coco's mother, Renata, or one of her friends, on or about April 21st, 2020? How did you respond to that email or text? What is the exact date you removed the article? The article must have still been online in April 2020, otherwise Renata Ruff may not have seen it." There was no response. Here's my hint to reporters and publishers. If you don't have the resources after publication to fact-check someone who alleges a crime, an allegation that could be defamatory if not true, especially accusing a mother of a horrific crime like prostituting her daughter to pedophiles, if you have insufficient resources to fact-check a possible defamatory accusation before publication, there should be no publication. Further, if carelessly published, there's an obligation to retract and apologize, and give the retraction as much online exposure as any defamatory statements.
When you say that you were trafficked by your own family, was this your mother?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my mother was my main trafficker.
And at what age do you remember first being abused, Coco?
It's hard for me to say how old I was. As early I remember, I have memories that, indicate that I've been abused as young as a toddler. And I have witnessed other children and even infants to be abused. Yeah, I remember people coming to our home and taking me to my room to abuse me, and then had interactions afterwards with my mother and exchanging money.
The TED Talk is not BYU's only Coco Berthmann support. Other associations pre- and post-date the TED Talk. Berthmann spoke at a BYU anti-human trafficking club event and claimed that her mother made more money prostituting her as a child. Younger children, she said, earn more money than older children. Traffickers will starve children to delay puberty so they look younger. Holidays are the busiest time of the year for people to buy children who will then be used 10 to 50 times a day. In Utah, General Conference weekend is when traffickers make the most money. That last one is a truly bizarre accusation that a surge of Mormon pedophile conference attenders come to Salt Lake at conference time to engage in sex with children. It's a Mormonized version of the widespread, unproven accusations that major sporting events, like the Super Bowl, attract a stream of pedophiles. BYU's club also promoted Berthmann's March TED Talk and also her July appearance with Elizabeth Smart. The BYU Business School fascination with the anti-child sex slave movement is not limited to Coco Berthmann. The business school also posted the speech of Utah's other high-profile anti-child sex slavery proponent, Tim Ballard. Ballard, like Berthmann, makes unproven, unvetted claims, many of them remarkably similar. Ballard's speech is posted online. Despite lack of fact-checking, it's still there, even after the criminal probe into Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad began a year ago. Before I go on to the next segment of this report, here's my suggestion. what any outlet that publishes a defamation should do. Quickly remove the offending publication and all traces from the internet. Directly and sincerely apologize to the offended party or parties. Fire whoever was supposed to vet the content. Publish a retraction and correction and distribute it as widely and for as long as the defamatory content. Provide the injured party or parties a cash payment in an amount that symbolizes the degree of remorse. Then cross your fingers and hope you won't get sued. There's some breaking news since my first report. Coco Berthmann initiated contact with investigators who were looking into Tim Ballard and OUR. During her interview, she accused a former OUR operative of molesting or raping her. Berthmann told Davis County criminal investigators that a man once affiliated with OUR and Tim Ballard sexually molested, or according to one source, raped her. The alleged assault apparently took place in Salt Lake County because the Davis County Attorney's Office referred the case to detectives with the Sandy City Police Department. Berthmann partner Christy Wells told me she's aware of an investigation being conducted on Berthmann's behalf. She would provide no details because, she said, it could be a matter of life and death. She said if something went wrong with any news report about the investigation, Coco could end up dead. I asked who might kill her. She said the people being investigated would kill her. But is there even an investigation? If Wells is referring to Berthmann's attempt to get a purported rapist investigated, at the moment there is no investigation. A Sandy Police Department spokesman said they did receive a referral from Davis County, but no official investigation has yet begun. The case is in limbo. It is neither dead nor alive. Will there ever be an active case against Berthmann's purported assailant? Would any investigative agency bring criminal charges against someone accused of rape when the alleged victim, who would have to be the key witness at trial, has a record of making false accusations and of frequently, perhaps even pathologically lying? The United States Department of Justice issued a guide for decision-making in sexual assault cases. Significant factors included questions about a victim's character and motive to lie. Does the alleged victim usually tell the truth? Does she have any motive to lie about an assault? Does Berthmann have any motive to lie to trigger a police investigation? She recently said something to one of her collaborators that may offer a clue. Coco is pressing charges. She is very frustrated it is taking so long. She said that if she's victim of a crime, that she can stay in the USA and that nobody can kick her out because she's part of an investigation. What does that mean? First, let's take a look at her visa status. Berthmann came to the United States on a student F1 visa, which permits her to stay with certain restrictions while she studies here. She began classwork at LDS Business College, now Ensign College, in 2018, and according to a host mother, did very well her first year. She was also employed part-time by Ensign College. But during an August 6, 2021 Zoom meeting, several former host family mothers suspected Coco was no longer enrolled in school and wondered if she's now here illegally. According to the Department of Homeland Security, F1 applicants must provide financial backing. Coco used a German couple to make that promise. Must provide a commitment that they will not overstay. Some plan to emigrate and overstay on purpose. Must maintain the minimum course load for a full-time student. F1 status can be lost, most commonly from lack of full-time enrollment. A German couple, Silke Modell and Reinhard Pape, guaranteed Berthmann's financial support so she could qualify for a visa. They had hosted Berthmann during most of her high school years up until 2015, and later after she joined the Mormon Church in 2017 and 18. Modell is a therapist and her former partner, Papa, is a businessman. Berthmann calls Papa her spiritual grandfather. I've been in contact with both of them, and they decline comment. This note about where Berthmann lived when she was with Modell and Papa, it was in an apartment on this street, which was less than 350 yards to where she attended church. A 4-minute walk. If Berthmann's student visa has expired, as some suspect, she may be subject to deportation. Is it possible she's now trying to qualify for a U visa? A U visa is a special visa that allows an illegal immigrant who is the victim of a crime in the United States to assist law enforcement in bringing the perpetrator to justice. It allows her to remain in the U.S. free from deportation. She must be assisting the law enforcement agency with information regarding the crime. Abusive sexual contact is a qualifying crime. A police department must issue a certification to get a U visa. One law firm cautions, the U visa process creates a motive and opportunity for those seeking to gain legal status to fabricate allegations of sexual assault and keep up their lie when the process is begun in order to obtain the benefit of the U visa. At trial, an attorney may cross-examine a witness about the witness's motive to fabricate and about bias. Berthmann's assault accusation is a two-edged sword. Her testimony could lead to the conviction of a sex offender. That's a good thing if he really did it, and it could keep her here legally. But if her accusation is false, she could be charged. It's a bad thing for her if he really did not, and could subject her to criminal charges and deportation. Before I go into Berthmann's great escape from sex trafficking, a word about suicide. On July 17th, 2 days before I began investigating the Coco Berthmann hoax, she told her social media fans she had suicidal thoughts. She wrote, "I have suicidal thoughts, but I don't want to die." After I broke the Berthmann hoax story on YouTube August 2nd, and as Berthmann sought support from her friends, her suicide postings escalated. She wrote, "I want to share with you that I had a plan for August 1st to take my life. It was all set up, and I was ready to leave this life. Only a handful of my friends knew of this. I'm still here, I'm alive, but I'm barely living. I was diagnosed with panic disorder, PTSD, and anorexia once again." Then on August 18th, she reported a big health scare and put these photos online saying, "Last night was terrifying, but she said I saw my friends last night drop everything immediately to be there for me, by my bedside, holding my hand." It's part of a string of Coco's suicide attempts and threatened attempts. "I attempted suicide at age 12, she said, and ended up in the hospital unconscious. At age 18, I finally was able to escape the therapist who abused me by attempting suicide. I was in a coma for a week. At age 25, her host mother got a call that Coco had texted she will kill herself. I said she's fine. We've heard this for a year. And she said there's always drama. She would pass out in class, the ambulance would take her. It's to get attention." Berthmann has posted emergency rooms photos before, which skeptics believe she uses to get sympathy and to raise money. The story Berthmann probably tells most often is about her dramatic escape from being sex trafficked by her mother. But she actually ran away from home twice. The first time in 2008. After that, she returned home, and then again in 2009 on November 2nd, the one she talks about. She celebrates the November 2nd escape date annually. Berthmann has repeated her 2009 escape storyline with variations dozens of times, such as when Chris Hansen, who previously hosted NBC's To Catch a Predator, interviewed her for his online show. She explained how she escaped was admitted to a hospital for psychological evaluation, and afterwards began high school.
Once I escaped at age 15, like all the contact stopped. So I was in that hospital after I escaped, literally in the middle of the night of November 2nd in 2009, running away from home with a backpack onto the train. And I was admitted and I was there for 6 months. I decided that I, wanted to go to high school. One of my biggest dreams was to be the first to graduate high school for my family.
Berthmann said her decision to flee came during a Celine Dion concert in Stuttgart on June 17, 2008. She said she was listening outside the arena. She didn't have a ticket. She resolved to escape, which she did a few months later. Berthmann's escape route was not to Frankfurt, as she falsely claims, but further north, to Hanover. What Berthmann does not reveal is that there were 2 escapes. The Celine Dion concert preceded her first escape in 2008. In May, she and her brother Mike flew to Hanover to visit older sister Magda for 2 weeks. Coco, still named Sandra, did not return as she had planned. On May 23rd, she was taken in by German Social Services, that's the Youth Welfare Office, in Celle. She stayed with a cousin and then 2 foster families and attended 9th grade. She returned to her mother's home to finish middle school in September 2009. In November, she ran away again, took a train, still not to Frankfurt, but to Hanover again. She was met at the station by a therapist who had helped her in 2008. She was hospitalized 6 months in 2010. She lived 2 years with a therapist who she says sexually abused her. And then she escaped from him, then finished high school in 2015 at age 21. Germany's youth welfare offices take legal supervisory control over runaway children. In 2008, Coco's life came under the direction of the welfare office in Celle near Hanover. I asked Coco's mother, Renata, to get her daughter's reports for 2008 and 2009, which she did. A few notations stand out. Coco, she was still named Sandra, first lived with her cousin. They clashed, and she was transferred to a foster family. There was an incident where she locked herself into a bathroom, injured herself, it does not say how, and passed out. Coco was checked into a youth psychiatric clinic for evaluation. She went back to her cousins, but that did not work out again. Another foster family took her in. They got along better. She regularly saw a child psychiatrist. Coco agreed to quit her passing out spells. As part of her therapy, Coco and her mother had weekly telephone contact, and she also had contact with her half-sister, Magdalena.
At 12 years old, you watched your sister be murdered.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine the pain, the trauma of that event.
Yeah, that was a really horrific experience. She was stabbed to death
By
people my mother was connected to.
And what was the motive for somebody killing your sister?
She wanted to talk to a teacher about the situation at our home.
So she wanted to report the sex trafficking where she was being victimized and you were being victimized. She was trying to rescue herself and you,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Exactly.
And the friends of your mother killed her.
Of course, the 2008 report is more proof Coco's sister was not stabbed to death. She was visiting the same sister she said was murdered years earlier. The 2009 report shows that Coco attended 9th grade secondary school in Celle, got good grades. She was about 16. But the passing out spells continued. Then this. She pressed battery and extortion charges against 2 boys in her class. Many classmates did not believe her. She decided not to continue pressing charges against her mother's boyfriend because no one believed her. Coco returned home to her mother and finished 9th grade in Neuffen near Stuttgart. Then it was on November 2nd, 2009, she ran away again, never returned to live with her mother, only to visit. In 2010, she spent 6 months in the Children's Hospital in Hanover, was visited by her mother on her 17th birthday. In 2010 to 2011, for 2 years, purportedly sexually abused by one of her therapists. And then in 2015, she graduated from high school. As she finished high school, she planned her future, beginning by working as a nanny in New York. I covered that in my previous report. Next, updates since my August 2nd report. Her reaction to the report? She told a friend she only watched a few seconds of my YouTube video about her hoax, then quit. She began lining up support to vouch for her credibility. Her primary supporter was going to be Elizabeth Smart. She told one confidant, "Elizabeth Smart is vouching for me." Coco called and said again, "Elizabeth has her back." It is true, Elizabeth Smart and Coco Berthmann have been making joint appearances. And Smart interviewed Berthmann on May 24th this year. Here are some of the Coco quotes. "At age 14, I got pregnant by one of the abusers, and I had to live through an illegal abortion that was very violent and very dramatic. What I learned about my mother is that she's been trafficked as a child. I know one of my siblings. He is a trafficker now, so she's accusing her brother of being a pimp for pedophiles. I'm a huge advocate of therapy, but that's just one tool, and there's so many other tools." Smart's theme, her foundation tagline is, "We believe you." But in Coco Berthmann's case, Smart may no longer believe her after watching my YouTube report and talking to her support group. A spokesman said Smart will not be making a public statement on Berthmann's behalf. Berthmann partner Christy Wells told me she would make a statement to validate Berthmann's stories, but needed time to draft one. No support statement was forthcoming, so I emailed, "Where is it?" She did not respond. Berthmann's story has been widely used for fundraising, for other charities, for her own charity, and directly for herself. Her own charity is the Coco Berthmann Scholarship Fund. It's yet to get IRS approval, so donations go through her partner's foundation, the Safe House Project. Christy Wells, responding to my question, wrote, "The oversight of donations to this fund is provided by the Safe House Project executive team. Distributions of scholarship dollars are made directly from the Safe House Project to the educational institutions on behalf of the scholarship recipients. Ms. Berthmann has never received any donations from her own fund." In November, it appears Berthmann solicited donations to her personal accounts rather than through her nonprofit or her partner's nonprofit. She wrote, "Yesterday I shared that I want to surprise 2 survivors of sex trafficking with a magical holiday season and ask how much could we as a community achieve if we come together. In less than 24 hours, we raised over $4,000. If you have $1 to spare, please send it through," and then she lists her 2 online accounts. The Better Business Bureau, in an interview with a television news reporter, warned about making donations through applications like Venmo. These apps are really, they're breeding grounds for these scammers. These scammers find something that's popular, and they're going to try to work it. A Venmo spokesperson told the reporter there is no buyer or seller protection when using the app. He said the app is designed for payments between friends and people who trust each other. After Berthmann's baptism in 2017 in Las Vegas, she returned to Hanover, Germany, where she became active in the LDS ward there. It was there she began portraying herself as a child sex trafficking victim. Here's a comments compilation from 3 of her fellow ward members. She began alleging sexual abuse by her family. The part about her mother as head trafficker came later. She said her abortion without medication was through family members, which left her infertile. She showed signs of an eating disorder and would faint on a regular basis. We encouraged her to get professional help. As members of the church, we also encourage members to tell the truth. We certainly did so with Coco. She demanded a lot of attention. Her life story became more fantastic the longer she stayed. She was always looking for a mother figure and told me she gets very easily attached to them. The Mormon community in Utah seemed to accept her story easier than those in Germany. She told me that she needs to approve every picture before it gets uploaded or made public. She instructed people on how to take a picture of her because she has a very clear image of what she should look like, which seems to be borne out on her Facebook page. What follows are snippets, bits and pieces of Berthmann's story, among them parts of texts and emails Berthmann has sent to host families and colleagues. EMDR is among alternative medicine and nutritional supplements Berthmann has tried to treat what she claims is trauma from years of sexual abuse. It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, a form of psychotherapy designed to alter how the brain processes traumatic information or memories to alleviate symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorders. This is one of her texts about it. We have sessions Mondays. I feel like I'm going crazy, and I just threw up twice because of the images, not on purpose. I can't continue EMDR. Berthmann pitched a cannabis oil product. There are dozens of similar purported therapeutic oils on the market. This one, she claims, helps your nervous system, calms anxiety, helps depression, improves immunity, improves skin issues. On the day Berthmann attended a St. George, Utah temple ceremony, she texted a friend, showing her a small pile of capsules, saying they were all the supplements I'm supposed to take from now on, daily. I'll have to check the bottles. Amy took me to a specialist today and he checked what I needed. I think he specialized in herbal treatments. In a text message, she wrote, "When I was 14, I became pregnant, and they didn't notice until I was nearly 6 months in. They performed an illegal abortion without anesthesia and took away Aria. I named that baby. My mother held me down. She held my face when my sister was murdered, which she ordered to happen." Talking about the same pregnancy, she showed one of her mentors a drawing she had sketched of a tiny baby. She said the fetus was alive when the doctor removed it, so he snapped the baby's neck in front of her to kill it. She also texted about another pregnancy, a child she carried full term. Before Aria, there was another pregnancy, and they didn't end it. They had me carry it until the end, and then sold him. I've never told anyone, and just told Becky, and it was awful. He is 13, and I don't know where he is. This story she told about the therapist who she says molested her for 2 years and at times kept her locked up in his basement. He locked her in his basement, handcuffed, so she couldn't escape. He would torture her by putting food and drink just outside her reach and then make her do sexual favors to earn the water or food. She asked for a keyboard, and he finally gave her one, and she self-taught herself how to play the keyboard and would play the piano and sing for hours and hours. And that's how she learned to sing and play the piano, because that's all she had to do in the basement. Berthmann texted one friend that she once attempted to escape from the basement, showing a photo with a scar. "This scar on my wrist is from when I tried to get the chains off my wrist, and escaped the basement I was locked in for 4 months. I didn't succeed and just cut myself badly. I never thought I'd get to taste freedom. Berthmann said she was raped while in Nevada in 2018. She told a Hanover ward member she had a temporary job in Nevada while saving money to go to Utah to attend college. Berthmann said she was doing volunteer work by herself, taking food to homeless people, when she was gang raped by 6 boys. She has shown friends a medical record that indicates she was evaluated by a sexual assault nurse at the Las Vegas University Medical Center on June 24, 2018. It does not appear she reported the alleged rape to police. Berthmann once texted about a possible marriage, showing some wedding dresses, and talked about the role her spiritual grandfather might play. My grandpa in Germany, he's not my real one, but he and his wife took me in when I escaped a therapist and nurtured me until I was strong enough on my own. He said he wants to buy my dress as long as I promise him that he can walk me down the aisle and dance my daddy-daughter dance with him. One day, when she was tired at work, Berthmann drank Coke to stay alert. The same day, she watched the movie Other Side of Heaven 2 and thought about becoming a Mormon missionary. She wrote, "Watching Other Side of Heaven 2, I'm going to put my papers in for a mission." Berthmann was a member of the Utah-based child rescue organization Adaptive Ops. She texted a friend on a training day, "Learning now how to take someone down and handcuff. Those guys are going to Iraq, rescuing women, girls, and boys from ISIS. This is what they train here for. Aros just told me, we're on a short break, by the end of tomorrow I've made you a deadly weapon. He said because I am so petite and short, people wouldn't guess, and that's a good thing. He told me he wants me to go to Iraq with them." Her message included some video clips.
Hands up!
Just got my bobby pin.
And we were winning, and people that she was friends with, and then it came through, and I was like, "Oh, your guardian." That time for those two.
There you go.
Yes, but, all right, I'm not here.
Speaking of child rescue organizations, here's an Operation Underground Railroad news update, some of what's been going on while I've been working on the Coco Berthmann hoax story. Vice News published yet another report on Ballard and OUR. It's easy to find. Just Google Vice News, Tim Ballard, and Murky Rescue Story. As Vice News released its story about OUR's rescue of 10 Venezuelan women who Ballard claims had been kidnapped and forced into prostitution, Ballard posted his own version, explaining what he calls a special graduation ceremony. There was actually a fake graduation ceremony. Ballard wrote, "Earlier this year, OUR and one of our aftercare partners were honored to host a very special graduation ceremony for 7 survivors. These strong and amazing women participated in a university program where they were taught basic business skills." Ballard's son returned from his LDS mission. As the Taliban retakes control of Afghanistan, Ballard claims they are slaughtering Christians along the way. His posting shows the strength of OUR's supporter base. More than 72,000 views in just 6 hours after uploading video clips.
As you know, as you've seen the news, the Taliban has taken over or is in the process of taking over everything. Women are being, again, persecuted, oppressed, locked up, locked out of society. Christians are being persecuted, in some cases hung, slaughtered. Hey, just want to give a huge thank you to Glenn Beck, the founder of the Nazarene Fund, who went out and passionately pled to his audience to help us do all we can to get these victims, these Christians and other minorities out of Afghanistan, as they are currently being hunted, slaughtered, no joke, if the Taliban finds a Bible app on their phone, they will summarily execute them.
How many Christians are there in Afghanistan? 99.8% of Afghans are Muslims. 0.2% are everything else, including a handful of Christians. Perhaps 0 Mormons. LDS soldiers in Afghanistan were warned that proselyting of any kind among Muslims is strictly prohibited. They were told, do not invite Muslims to attend LDS services, that their mere association with Christian faith groups may result in harm or death to them or their family members. Ballard asked for donations for the gym OUR owns, saying it is unique, and the donations go directly toward rescuing child sex slaves. Then 2 OUR faithful asked when the long-promised film Sound of Freedom will be released. Ballard says, this fall. Here's the final OUR news update. OUR is hiring and expanding while under criminal investigation. Ballard said, just last month we finished an amazing operators training. In the last 9 months, OUR has grown from about 30 to about 90 employees. Our directors come from varying backgrounds and have decades of experience between them in fighting human trafficking and exploitation. We are now doing things we have never done, and we are in places we have never been, and we are just getting started. Thanks for watching.